Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Summer at Tufts, our webinar for our campus students who are going to be attending Tufts University this summer in either one of our summer sessions. I'm Ruth Ann Murray, and I'm Director of Non-Matriculation Programs. That means basically open enrollment programs, not degree programs. So I oversee the summer term, and I'll be also overseeing the Courses at Tufts initiatives, which will allow us to open a lot of our Tufts courses to visiting students. I'm not alone tonight. I have what I like to call my panel of experts. First, we have Nina Dinjaski. I'm not saying that right, Nina Dinjaski. I hope that's right. And she's an instructor in teaching this summer molecular biotechnology. We also have with us John de la Parra, who is a lecturer for the Center for Interdisciplinary Studies. And joining us in just a bit, we hope to have Dana Carnes, who is also an instructor in molecular biotechnology. The reason these people are joining is not necessarily because they are the only instructors that are happening this summer, and they may not be your instructors this particular summer, but they bring some valuable experience about best practices, how to succeed, the kinds of things to avoid, and what their expectations are for students. Excuse me. Okay, so let's make sure we all have the right dates. First of all, our first session begins pretty soon, May 22nd, and runs till the 28th of June. Our second session is July 2nd to August 9th, and then we have a 12-week session for folks who don't like to do anything over the summer except for study, and that runs May, June, July, and part of August. Now, if you're thinking about registering for courses, we do leave registration open for a few days after. However, if you're thinking about registering for an online course, you really don't want to register too far into the class. It takes some time to get the courses set up online, and you'd be very far behind. So do look at our academic calendar for some hints on when the last day is for registering for online courses. Let's tell you a little bit about what we're going to do tonight. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Tufts University because some of you may be visiting students, and if you are, welcome. I'm also going to give you some logistics on the campus, and even for those of you who are Tufts students, you may not know all of this information, but you probably know most of it. I'm going to give you an opportunity to hear from the professors. We're going to talk a little bit about systems, and we'll have a Q&A session, and then some next steps. So just some basics for those of you who are new to Tufts. It's an old institution. It's not as old as Harvard, but it's like many 19th century institutions that were founded in New England in mid-century. There are over 11,000 students, so I would call it probably a small to medium-sized school. There are 5,000 undergraduates, and as you can see, as many, if not slightly more, graduate and professionals. We have an international population of about roughly 10%. And our mascot is the person or the animal you see there, which is Jumbo the elephant, who actually was donated to Tufts, I believe. And we have a statue of Jumbo on our lawn. Okay, first thing I'd like to do is tell you, is help you to get here and to stay here. So let's talk just a little bit about parking. If you're coming to the Medford Somerville campus, you can park in the beautiful Dowling Hall garage. Of course, it doesn't make so much a difference for summer because it's a covered garage. So in the winter, of course, we don't have to clean off snow and like it. But on those very, very hot days, it is also nice to have your car garaged in a place where you don't have the sun beating down directly on it. And they have daily rates, or you could purchase a permit for 6 weeks at a time or 12 weeks if you're taking a 12-week course. And to do so, you can go right to the first floor of Dowling Hall. It's where the public safety office is, the police department is there, and you can purchase your parking pass. If you're going to the Fine Arts campus, that's a little bit different. You really have to look for metered spaces. And there are several along the roads. There are also some paid lots. There's the MFA and the Museum Road lot. The Museum Road lot is accessible to the SMFA campus. Now, there's also some parking alternatives. For Medford Somerville, you can take the Red Line to Davis Square. There are buses that go around Tufts campus, 3 of them as a matter of fact. You can also take the Fitchburg commuter rail and get to Porter Square on that. And then you could then take the Red Line into Davis Square. So you have a number of options for getting here. If you're going to the Fine Arts campus, you have the wonderful MBTA green line. It's the E line. Don't go on the B, C, or the D, but you want that to get to the Museum of Fine Arts. And there's also at least one bus that goes in that area, bus 39. Or you could take the commuter rail to Back Bay or to North Station and then get on the T. So you have a number of opportunities and ways of getting here if driving is not your thing. I'm going to move over now and allow you to listen to one of our professors here on campus. Nina is a licensing associate for our Office of Technology Transfer and Industry Collaboration. And she's also an instructor in molecular biotechnology and also has done postdoctoral research at MIT. Nina, we're really happy to have you not only on the webinar, but teaching this summer.
Thank you very much for the introduction. So welcome everybody. We're very happy to have you this summer. Unlike the other semester-long courses, these courses are very short. So make sure that you take your time and use that time efficiently. It's very important that you follow every lecture, that you make sure that you understand the concept. If you don't understand the concepts, make sure that you address that as soon as possible, because we are going very fast through the materials. Some of our most successful students make their success by asking a lot of questions, asking for more resources, and we try to make all those resources available to you. Another tip that I would say that it's very important is to try to learn from your peers. We have very diverse groups, usually people from industry, undergraduates, graduate students, so a variety and very different mix of students, and we try to work in teams. That's something that not only learning from us, but learning from each other is very important. So make sure that you use time efficiently and you use all the resources that are available to you during that time.
Ida, tell me, what tend to be some of the biggest challenges that you see students having with summer?
Usually it's timing, because the classes are 3.5 hours, and we have Monday and Wednesday evenings. So usually students leave everything for the weekend, and it can be challenging if you're working and taking classes. But that means that until next Monday, there is no chance to ask again the questions. We try to be available as much as possible via phone, email, to answer all the questions, but in-person meeting cannot be replaced. So we try to be available as much as possible, but it's the most useful is to use that time when we are all together and to ask and address any questions.
Right. So you can't be shy. You have to speak up.
Exactly, and that helps everybody. It helps the instructor understand what the students don't understand, and it helps students as well to learn all the concepts.
Is it difficult sometimes for students to speak up, especially if they're visiting students?
We're trying to engage everybody. We have a lot of in-class activities that help everybody speak up, even the shy people. So we give them chance, and we try to engage everybody and make them comfortable in this environment. For this month and a half, we're basically a family. We spend so much time together, and we try to help each other. So usually that hasn't been a problem.
Well, that sounds great. So for you folks who are in Nina's class, or maybe taking Nina's class, there's some good information. And even if you're not, chances are Nina's sentiments would be echoed by many other professors teaching this summer. So thank you very much, Nina.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Let's talk a little bit more about campus logistics. If you're going to be on the Medford Somerville campus, you have a wealth of locations to choose from. You may bring your lunch if you'd like to, or your supper, but you have a number of dining halls, such as the Carmichael Dining Hall, the DeWitt McPhee Dining Hall, And you can get breakfast there as early as 7 a.m. and you can get dinner up until 8 p.m. There are also meal plans available. You can certainly do an a la carte, but you could purchase a number of meals at one of these dining facilities. You also have a lot of a la carte options at the following cafes, and these are dispersed pretty well all over campus, north, south, east, west, so there should be something near you. And of course, you're in Medford and Somerville, so you have lots of restaurants and public cafes to choose from. My favorite happens to be the Danish Pastry House right on Boston Avenue for a lot of meals. The Fine Arts campus folks, unfortunately, don't have it as nice. There are public restaurants that you can choose from along Huntington Avenue and the Fenway, but within the facility itself, there really isn't much or anything, perhaps vending machines. So the recommendation is, if you're going to be there for a while, brown bag it or bring a snack and a bottle of water or something to keep you going during that time. And remember, if you're buying things on campus, you can use Jumbo Cash. And that works through your ID, where you can put a certain amount of cash on your Jumbo card and then just use that in cash. And you can use that at dining halls, you can use it at the library for reproduction services, you can use it at the bookstore. So it's a nice thing to look into. Let's also talk a little bit about residence life. We do have dining options, residential options for both Tufts students and visiting students. So Tufts undergraduate students who are enrolled in a degree program here at Tufts will be placed in Hill Hall. It's just on the north side of campus. It's a lovely hall, has common living room space and recreational space. There's a laundry room, there's a common area kitchen, and vending machines. If you're a visiting student, or if you're a Tufts graduate student, you'll be in the Latin Way dormitory. It's a dormitory style. You can get a single or double. It's very, very reasonable. And there's a dining facility right within that dormitory. It's also very convenient to the athletic center and other places around campus. So you do have these options. If you go to the website and take a look at residence life, go to the Summer at Tufts website, you see all these different options. You also would have received an email from me that invited you to this webinar. And in that email, I put embedded links to all of these different facilities so you can take a look at them, see what the pricing is, and see what the regulations are. Let's switch over now from the mundane to the cerebral and talk with John de la Parra, who is an instructor here at Tufts University, among other places. He is an ethnobotanist and a biotechnologist who specializes in medicinal plant research. He has an academic appointment at Harvard University as an associate at the Harvard University Herbarium. Did I say that right, John?
Yep, that's right.
Great, thanks.
I can recap if you want me to. The introduction.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about the course that you teach, as well as some of the things that you found to be successful strategies for students studying over the summer.
Sure. So so at Tufts during the normal school year, I teach environmental fieldwork, where we have a class centered around cataloging the urban forage, or the plants that you find growing around you that some people rely on for food. And also we do soil testing around the Somerville Medford area, and we develop a GIS map so we can actually coordinate where all those plants are and the soil types. And then I also taught a class on medicinal plants in the past, and I've taught this semester, I'm teaching a class on cannabis called the Cannabis Debate. As you can imagine, a very popular course. And the medicinal plant course is also very popular, and that's the one that I'll be coming back this summer to teach. Medicinal plants are something I've worked on for a long time, and yes, I worked with medicinal plants at Harvard in my research role there. I'm also the research lead at the MIT Media Lab, where I work with all types of different plants, including medicinal plants. And I teach biotechnology at Northeastern, which incorporates some biotechnology of plants. So plants and people are really what I study, and that's what I'm passionate about. It's what I bring to the class and why I develop these classes. Tufts in particular, I think Tufts, of the different places I teach, I really think that Tufts is the most fun place. I think the students are the best. They're really engaged and engaging, and they bring insightful questions that I wouldn't normally get in my other types of classes, even at Harvard. When I'm teaching a class this semester on medicinal plants, I can notice a clear shift between the populations of Tufts students and Harvard students. Yeah, I don't know. Did you have a specific question?
I actually put this picture up, and I was going to put you on the spot and make you identify these. But if I'm looking through them, I think I can identify most of these, as a matter of fact. Although I don't see cannabis.
Yeah.
And I think I'm not sure if these are all medicinal plants, but some of them are certainly edible plants. Or most of them are certainly edible plants.
Yeah, I mean, even food is the original medicine. So I see some food crops that make, for example, I think I see leeks or something at the bottom right.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think plants are something that people have evolved with, and we have also evolved because of plants. It's something that humans have been very close to throughout our social and biological evolution. So I think it's a fascinating subject, and the way that I structure the course is we look at what I call the 4 pillars of understanding for ethnobotany or for medicinal plants. So we start out by doing a survey of the anthropology of medicinal plants. So how the indigenous cultures in different parts of the world, how do they use plants? So what is the lens that people see that through? And then we look at botany, because we have to be able to identify the plants and know how people name plants in order to organize them. And that can be, Western scientific understanding of that, but it also can be the indigenous understanding of how you name a plant. Then we look at the chemistry, but no one should be too scared of chemistry. Even my PhD actually is in chemistry, but I promise you that means that I explain it simply. So we hands-on activities in ways that have you understand the scientific principles that we're talking about. And then the last pillar is pharmacology, so understanding how these plants might actually be working in the human body. And all of these are associated with very hands-on activities. We make things. We have really engaging discussions. We have guest speakers. So I find people, I think, enjoy this class. A lot of the class is also a flipped classroom. So the reading and content happens outside of class. So there are readings that have to be done in order to keep up with the class. And then we do experiential things in the classroom. And we also have students present material in the class a lot. I think that one of the most important things in college generally to do is to have a chance to present in a safe space, because it's something you'll do for the rest of your life, probably. So if you can learn how to get up in front of a group of your peers and speak about some topic that you've become, let's say, a momentary expert or a momentary mini expert on, I think that's a great learning experience just in and of itself. So in this class, you'll do that in almost every class. In every class, a group of students will be speaking about particular topics, and that allows you to become an expert on something. You get up and you talk about, let's just pick a plant from out of here, chamomile. So maybe you know a little bit about it, but you'll have a chance to put together a short presentation and teach everyone about that. And you'll probably never forget that plant, at least. So that's the method that we typically take.
Great. It sounds nice and interactive. Field work, so a variety of things to keep people interested. What are some of the challenges that students have, or what are the common areas you see where students have difficulty? Not so much in the content area, but just in terms of habits.
I mean, I think a common thing for anyone, I think, is keeping up with the reading when you have when you have a short timeline, especially. I think that's probably one of the few issues I've ever had in any of the classes I have at Tufts is students not being able to keep up with the reading. The reading is not too intense, but I feel like if you want to learn something, that's the minimum effort you have to put in, is keep up with the reading. So at least, even if you don't understand it the first time, we talk about it in class so that you can understand, and that's where the value comes from. I mean, anyone can get a book on medicinal plants or some other topic and learn it on their own in some regard. The value of taking a class, especially at Tufts, is you're doing that, so you're committing to reading that book and learning the things in it, but you also have someone who is an expert there who's going to guide you through it. But that's not the most value. The most value is the instance of having a group full of students who are all going to be there in this special situation, where you have 10 or 20 students around you who are all doing the same thing at the same time. And for me, that's almost a sacred space. It's something that shouldn't be squandered. So you come to class and we have a great time because we're communing with each other and we're learning things that we want to learn about.
Great. That makes perfect sense. And the interesting thing, too, or the thing about reading is that you're obviously reading for content because you need to know the material to come prepared to class, but there's also developing the skill of reading, in reading thoughtfully and reading and forming opinions. So, and that's what you do in so many of your classes, and learn to digest and be able to recount what you've read and then apply it as well. So just a tip on that, if I may. I was able to do my undergraduate degree in the traditional 4-year period. However, the master's degrees that I've earned after that and the PhD were all done as a part-time student. And one thing I did learn was to take advantage of every single moment to read. And that was over a typical 12-week semester. So over a 6-week semester, that's even more important. But I would always have one of my books with me. And if I was waiting for a dentist, and sometimes I'd even bring the book into the dentist office on the chair with me. So when they were taking those breaks in between, I was reading. I think I got most of my coursework reading done on the T and on the commuter rail. Brought books on vacation, so you take advantage of every moment, and that's the way you keep up with it, I know.
I think that's a great idea, but I also, some of the books I have are also audio recorded, so some people like to listen to the book. I do that. When I'm teaching 4 classes in one semester, which I'm doing right now, sometimes there's no way I could keep up with my own reading assignments, so I put it on and I listen to it if I'm in the gym or I'm doing something else, and it's getting into my brain somehow, and and I'm thinking about it, and that's a different way of learning as well, listening to something. So that can also help.
If you've got a long commute, that's a great way to take care of it. I listen to books in my car, and I sometimes get home and don't want to get out because I just want to hear some more.
Great.
But anything else you'd like to add, John?
No, I think that covers a lot.
Great.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Of course.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about systems and technology. If you're a Tufts student, you're already familiar with the Student Information System, SIS. If you're not, you would have received an invitation to set up that account once you registered for your course. You would have gotten a username and password, and with that, you would have set up your SIS account. Once you have your SIS account, you can look at your class schedule, you can look at grades, you can pay your balance, which is very, very important. If you didn't receive this, please make note of the number on the screen or the email address, very easy to remember, it@tufts.edu. And this is also detailed in the email that you got that included the invitation to this webinar. Another system that you may be working with is Canvas. Some of the instructors use Canvas to post reading assignments. They put the syllabus there. It might be a vehicle by which you submit projects. You also access this through your Tufts username and password. And you want to check in when you first start your class to see if this is a tool used by your instructor. And that's something they should make very clear to you. If you are using Canvas and you have your own computer, as you should, you will want to make sure that your computer is no more than 5 years old, and your software is up to date, because Canvas is a little picky and it has a difficult time sometimes with older systems. So it's a strong recommendation that you have a fairly new system. Now, don't go out and buy yet. Don't have to go out and buy one if yours is a little bit older, but you want to check out to make sure that it does work properly. In terms of other things about system and technology, if you need help, you can walk in at Eaton Hall, 5 the Green, right here on campus. If you're not on campus or you are and you really feel like making a phone call, there's the phone call to make. And then again, email it@tufts.edu. That's when you're on campus, you're off campus, wherever, and you need some technology help. And I have to tell you, the folks there are wonderful. And they don't give up on a problem until you tell them to give up. And even then, it's a little bit difficult to get them to stop. But very devoted, and the turnaround time I found has been very, very fast. I don't see Dana with us tonight, and Dana is another instructor teaching micromolecular, biotechnology. And I liked this image very much. But as I said earlier, as someone who has taken lots of classes on a part-time basis over the summer and over the school year while working a full-time job, I do take advantage of any time that's available to me. The other thing that I would say that I didn't hear the previous instructors say is that you really do need to schedule your time. You've got a 6-week or 12-week period coming up, probably 6 weeks if you're in this webinar. And that goes by pretty quickly. So what you want to do is take a look at your calendar from May 22nd to till the end of June, and mark off any things that you know that are coming up in your personal life, your professional life, and you know you have to work around. Those things go in because they were probably there before you signed up for the class. Given that, then take a look at your syllabus and your assignments and plan how you're going to accomplish the tasks. If there's a paper due at a certain time, block off those nights, block off that weekend. And if it's a weekend that something is due and you've also got a life event happening, find a workaround for it. The best thing you can do is to schedule this, whether it's a paper calendar or your Outlook calendar, but it's a really good way of doing it and keeping yourself on track. And staying on track is the most important thing in these 6-week or short-week sessions. So in this next section, we ask you what's on your mind, and you can type questions in the dialog box. And you could let us know if you want a specific person to answer it. If there's a question that we can't be answered tonight, we will answer it through a future email that will go to all students. Now, we have some questions coming in. And one of the questions that one of the students asks is about books. Your books can be purchased at the Tufts bookstore. You can purchase them online, or you can go into the Tufts Bookstore Center right here in the Medford campus. There is also an art supply store available near the SMFA school. It really stocks a wonderful assortment of things, books, as well as all sorts of art materials. If you go onto our website, and again, I've highlighted this in the email that I sent you, click on that and it will show you how to access, how to do that online, or how to visit the stores in person. But I think you'll find everything you need there. Another question that came in is from an international student, and they are asking if we provide an F1 visa for our summer sessions. The summer courses that we offer at Tufts, or at least the types of courses that I'm talking about tonight, are not full-time programs, and they're not eligible for an F1 visa. This is detailed on the Summer at Tufts website, but if you already have a valid F1 visa, or you can come in on a tourist visa, such as a B1, B2, what they call a business tourist visa, that's another opportunity. But do take a look at the website and look at the specifics for the visas, as well as the language proficiency requirements. We have another question coming in about when to register for courses. You may register for courses up until, let's see, you can register for courses starting the day of, and actually a few days behind, a few days afterwards, but you don't want to let that go too late. So, for example, the last day to add a course for the session 1 is May 28th. For summer 1, and June 12th if it's the 12-week session. However, if you're adding a course, if you want to add an online course, the last day to do that is May 24th. The reason we make it a shorter window is that you need some time when you're signing up for an online course. There needs to be a connection. We need to supply you with different information, get your computer set up, and get what you need. And that can take 24 hours. So we ask if you're signing up for a course for the first term, no later than May 24th by 4 p.m. for an online course, and May 28th for a regular classroom course. Again, do your best not to wait until then, because you don't want to start off being behind. If you think you can catch up and want to join, please feel free to do so. So I think that's what I have for questions coming in. Let's just talk about next steps, what you're going to do next. So the first thing you want to do is pay any outstanding balance. You need to do this because you want to be allowed to come into class and take your class. So in order to do that, you've got to take care of that balance. Also, watch for an email from us with a link to this recording. So if you've missed anything and you want to hear it again or see the slides, that will be coming to you shortly. Make sure that you have your Tufts account. Once you have your Tufts account and you are able to look at your courses, look at your schedule, you want to make sure that you're reviewing the syllabus and know when things are due, and then schedule your time appropriately. And have a good time. So we thank you. We hope you have a great summer and that it's profitable and it's valuable and it's also entertaining. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. Again, our email you have with the invitation that you received to this webinar. And if you have continuing questions, please feel free to send them and we'll do our best to answer them. Thank you very much and have a great summer.